Out of the depth of our deepest sorrow, out of the darkness of our shattered lives, somehow we found each other. From 500 miles away, without anything more than a computer screen between us, we cried together, we shared each other's pain, we understood each other's sadness and each other's fears. It is out of that sharing that we began the creation of what was to become a friendship of a most special kind. My name is Julie Pfister Cohen, and I am originally from New Jersey, born and raised here. And I am the mother of 3 biological children and the stepmom of 2 stepchildren. I was married in 1988 to Carl Pfister, and we were married for just a little over 14 years. We had 3 children together, Daniel, Molly, and Brett, and unfortunately Carl got sick with a brain tumor and has since passed away.
Although losing a spouse seems like a lonely road, Julie was not alone. Over 185,000 women Julie's age lost their husband in the United States in 2005 alone.
Grief is about loss. It's the emotional feelings that you have in the inside. It's the feeling of emptiness. It's the feeling of what now? Where do I go from here? How do I redefine my life? How do I reorder my priorities?
In the beginning, I think that I was very unaccepting of the fact that my husband had died. I kind of knew it was coming, but I never really imagined what it would feel like. I pretty much closed myself off to the outside world, and I did what I needed to do on a daily basis to make sure that my children were fed, bathed, that they had lunches to go to school the next day, clean clothes, and that was about it.
In addition to the sadness of it, is, oh my God, I've got these 2 kids. How do I do this by myself?
Professionals suggest finding support through friends or support groups. The most important thing is to not grieve alone.
I think that people who get into trouble when they're grieving and mourning are people who isolate themselves, who just think that nobody else can possibly know what I'm feeling and thinking, and just kind of move inside and shut out the rest of the world. They sort of emotionally circle the wagons and keep everybody out. I think what people need to do is reach out to people they trust, and if they don't have those people in their life, to go find something outside themselves to get involved in it.
About 5 months into being a widow, I found myself sinking deeper and deeper into a place of just sadness, and I reached out to, he was actually one of Carl's doctors, an anesthesiologist, and he had suggested to me that I look into this online site, WidowNet.
I think I did like a Google thing on parents without partners, which I later learned was, I think, as much a place where people met each other as anything else. And I was just looking for, how do people do this? Can you get some information, some references to organizations, things like that? And there was a site that showed up on the Google search called WidowNet. Oh my God, these people, they're they're dealing with what I'm dealing with, or they've been through what I'm going through. And as much as my parents tried to be helpful and understanding, or my sisters tried to be, supportive, or friends of mine tried to be compassionate, none of them had lost their spouse. And so it was strange, but I was getting more from these strangers in cyberspace that I could identify with, and who seemed to identify with me, than I was getting even from the closest people in my life.
There's a few people actually today even that I remain very good friends with, and I've never actually even met them face to face. So no, I wasn't nervous at all the first time I met him, because at that point in time it was just another friend who knew what it was like to be widowed young. Some of us had children, some of us didn't have children, but we just shared this common bond.
I, for some reason, posted about the eulogy that Danny had given for his mom at her funeral, which was actually a beautiful very moving, very touching thing. She said, I too have a son, Daniel, and I wanted to tell you how moved I was or how touched I was when I read your son's words.
I remember very vividly, very early on in our communication, we each sent each other an email, a very long, detailed email, talking about the journey of our spouses' illnesses.
It was all kind of percolating, right? You know, we were now talking on the phone every night, and not only talking on the phone, but talking on the phone for hours. And we had pretty much decided that maybe, you know, this would be something that we could, you know, long-term relationship, get remarried, or, yeah, I think we were already talking about it that way.
We like to say we fell in love from the inside out because we actually truly did fall in love with each other through keyboard communication and telephone conversations.
Yes, it's important to find love because that goes back to my premise that you have to reach outside of yourself. And I think there's no better way to get through grief than to start giving.
And so I actually proposed on the beach. And I think she knew that I was going to be proposing at some point. She didn't know it was going to be that night, that moment on the beach there. And we both have this real fondness for Dr. Seuss. So what I had done, I used to send her sometimes these emails that Dr. Seuss like talk. And so I did a Dr. Seuss, basically a Dr. Seuss type of proposal. Could you marry me at a bed and breakfast by the sea? Would you please say yes, be mine forever, nothing less? Will you in December? Or November, or September? August works, October is good. I'd say tomorrow if we could. We'll figure out the when and where. That you say yes is all I care. Oh, please, 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 just please say yes. Because if you don't, I'll be a mess. So now the pressure shifts to you. Will you say yes? And then I do. I couldn't see it in the dark, right? So I wound up taking my cell phone out, right? Doing it by cell phone, like modern technology triumphs, you know? So I'm reading this and I'm watching her reaction, and she's just, you know, beaming, and she's got tears in her eyes, and she loves it, you know? It's a great moment. She's laughing at all the right moments.
I was nervous about him leaving Ohio to move to New Jersey to invest in our relationship. The main reasons were, number one, I didn't think I was ready emotionally to have that kind of a relationship. I also was fearful that my children weren't ready for me to have another man in my life. At the time, our kids spanned in age from 4 up through 20. And our 20-year-old was relatively accepting and supportive. The next two were not very supportive or accepting. And then the two younger ones actually thought that the whole concept was pretty cool.
I think that Brett and Molly, it's been, you know, it seems to have been wonderful. And I think that there's more of a sense of, I don't know, I feel a closer relationship having been built. And maybe some of that's because, you know, we have to rely on each other a little bit.
I know for myself personally, I have always been a full-time, out-of-the-home working parent. And I am, right now, I have the opportunity to be at home, to be a full-time at-home parent. And that has been a big adjustment for me. It took me a long time to feel comfortable with that. But it's given me the opportunity to spend a lot of time volunteering in the kids' schools, to be very actively involved with their activities, with their friends.
And just to illustrate this, when people would say to Julie, what do you do? Her answer would be, what I used to do this. Because I think, I think you've struggled with that, and I don't see any, I mean, this is just speaking from my standpoint, I don't, and I know you intellectually agree with this, there's no reason you should feel that way, but I understand, you know, that you do feel that way, that there's almost like a having to justify or explain what it is you're doing.
Well, I know I can speak for myself in that I had absolutely no intentions of finding love anywhere, no less over the internet. It was just something that happened, and it occurred slowly, and it occurred patiently, it occurred over time.
I have now a different opinion when I hear about people who have, because, you know, having been through it myself, I know it is possible. It was definitely a very, you know, deep experience.
I have a bowl over here that's made out of broken pieces of china. I use it because you can make something beautiful out of things that are broken. If you put them together in the right way and you see the opportunity there, you can make something beautiful. And I think that's what they did out of their lives.